And welcome back to CInemavino. It's our next episode in our Halloween series. We're going to do Salem's Lot this time. It's our 2024, one of our newer entries. This just came out.
We figured you would, need to do something that happened this decade.
No,
HBO Max has been pushing this movie. They've been doing a lot of big October promotions.
Yeah.
Check out what's on Max.
There's a story behind that, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Can't wait.
So first, we're drinking whiskeys this month. We're doing World of Whiskeys. We're doing Tin Cup, which is
also a really good movie.
Yeah, exactly. One of Kevin Costner's better movies. So yeah, this is another American whiskey, I believe.
It hits you in the mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I took too big of a swig of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mountain whiskey. I think they are typically more of a Colorado style whiskey.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lovely finish.
Yeah, it's sweeter, right?
Yeah.
It's got a nice little sweetness to it. This is a whiskey I usually take camping with me. They kind of pride themselves on the brand of being a mountain whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Drinking this while chopping logs.
Tastes exactly like the way I like to be handled in bed, rough at first and then a little sweet in the end.
Yeah, good little aftercare.
So that you can tell the difference in the Suntory that we drank before. It's this one's way darker.
Yeah.
Has a deeper.
Suntory.
Yeah, you can tell it's much more brown. Has that more fly trapped and amber look to it. So it's Grant's like me. He's a digger.
He's a digger.
When you kind of get that smokiness out of the wood that it, the barrels that it ages in.
Another cool thing about them is you get a shot glass with every purchase.
Yeah, you get a little metal.
Can I have that
on top?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Pass that over to Brother Trav.
There you go.
But yeah, this is it's a reasonably priced. I think it's around $35, depending on where you get it. But
that's why I like to take it camping. Is it's cheap.
That's a nice little shot glass.
Yeah, and they've got a really good rye. So if you're ever looking in the market for a rye, they've got a good rye whiskey. So
do you like ryes over whiskeys typically?
Typically, yeah. Especially if you're doing a Manhattan or a old fashioned. I like a rye in there.
Yeah, and I know you're more of a 7-7 guy.
Yeah. I'm a whiskey cocktail guy.
Sure.
But yeah, this is a nice Colorado whiskey. We're kind of moving around different whiskeys, different places.
Are they from Colorado?
Better pizza, better ingredients. Yeah. So this is a good stuff. I believe it's out of Denver, Colorado. So, but yeah, so that brings it. You can find this on our sponsor, flavyr.com. They have a bunch of different tin cup whiskeys that you can buy. Pretty much a huge portfolio of whiskeys. If you are a whiskey fan, you'll find something you like on there. If you have somebody that you're trying to buy a gift for, there'll be a whiskey that they like on there. Or you can sign them up for a Whiskey of the Month Club. They can try new stuff every month. So yeah, head over to flavyr.com /CInemavino, promo code CInemavino10. Every
10. Oh, it's 10 as in 10, not TEN.
Or TIN.
Or TIN.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Every purchase of $100 or more, you get $10 off with that code. So check it out.
Yeah, get some samples, try out the difference between the whiskey and the rye, see what you like.
Yeah.
This is actually the marriage of two great American whiskeys, straight bourbon distilled in Indiana and Colorado.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So they use water from the Rocky Mountains, allegedly.
Mythical artesian wells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or that's Olympia.
Yeah.
Indiana elves.
It's the water. So Salem's Lot. This was released on Max, October 3rd, 2024. This is the third adaptation of Stephen King's novel. The first one came out in 1979 and was a movie starring James Mason.
It was a miniseries.
The second one was a miniseries in 2004.
I thought the first one was a miniseries made for TV. 1979.
You might confirm this. I believe it was a movie.
I think you're full of shit.
You check and see.
Yeah.
I know the 2004 was a miniseries.
I was told there wasn't going to be fact checking.
So the question is, Sean, did you watch Salem's Lot or The Salem's Lot?
I watched the new Salem's Lot.
Which is actually the fourth in the series. It starts out with a race car.
You guys watched the movie that starts off with just a race car going in a loop, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, the 2004 miniseries starred Rob Lowe.
It's a 2-part vampire miniseries.
In 79?
Yeah. It is called Salem's Lot, the movie, when it was shown. But it's Salem's Lot, the miniseries.
Salem's Lot, the movie, the miniseries.
Yeah. The original is
Season 1.
3 hours long. And it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen King can't write short things.
No.
To save his fucking life.
But back in the day, there was they would have whole events on TV, and it would be like a 3-night event, episode, like miniseries event.
Yeah. Rob Lowe was in the 2004 version. This particular adaptation was announced in 2020 and filmed in 2021, and it had a long pre-release. First due to COVID and the Omicron or whatever that was going around in 2021.
Delta variant in 2021.
Something, yeah. They delayed releases then. And then afterwards, Warner Brothers went on that kick of just like filming stuff and then just writing it off, like Batgirl.
Yeah, they scrapped a lot of shit. They had a change in their head of creativity, or head of creative, right?
Yeah.
Director of creativity.
I mean, Batgirl, you had a $90 million movie that they filmed.
And Michael Keaton was in
it.
Put it in the vault.
Completed it, and then never released it. And, wrote it off as a tax write-off.
Well, they had to have like YouTube creators 20 years from now
write it off,
to have something to find. Hey, we found this part of this long forgotten movie that never made.
They just write it off.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I can't wait to get the 8mm re-release.
Mm-hmm.
Not 60, not 35.
I heard it wasn't
the
great
snuff film
anyway.
Recut.
It didn't sound like it was going to be good, but
no one thought it was going to be good, and yet somehow they made Aquaman 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I've still seen that one.
Oh, they made Black Adam. They made Shazam 2.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And Zachary Levi, what a dick.
What a cunt.
What a weirdo he turned out to be.
God.
I can't even watch Chuck anymore.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, that takes some nerve for Warner Brothers to be like, we're too good for this. Like, y'all get off your high horse.
This is too bad even for us.
Yeah. Yikes.
And we're Warner Brothers.
And so this was nearly shelved permanently as well.
Yeah. But Stephen King saw this and he was like, hey, no, this is a great little movie. Obviously, he's going to get some kickback.
He's got a stake in that.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
That was nice. So this stars Louis Pullman, who's son of Bill Pullman, as the main actor.
Oh, shit. Is he really? Mm-hmm. I kept being like, God, this guy's familiar.
Yeah, he is Bill Pullman's son.
That is awesome. I love that.
Look, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. He looks just like his dad.
Good for him.
I've seen him in the Brie Larson Apple TV series, like Secrets and Chemistry, and it was really pretty good. Mm-hmm. He was good in that.
Yeah. Co-stars Mackenzie Lee as the love interest Susan. And then William Sadler, an iconic 90s villain, as the shaky, jittery local sheriff who's trying to hightail it out of there.
And I think he just wanted to be in another like Stephen King, like Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm. And then you had Alfre Woodard, who is a Tulsa
native.
Yeah,
we actually Taylor and I had a run-in with her in. We were at Valkyrie Bar. It was the centennial of the Tulsa massacre. She was in town to speak at there was like a rally, and afterwards she popped over to Valkyrie and we ran into her just at the bar.
How was she?
Fine, she was great.
Yeah, I heard she can fight.
Yeah, she kicked our asses. I mean, it was bad. But it was also in the prime of 2021. We were wearing masks and we were social distancing, so we didn't try to hover.
Yeah. So she's the town doctor. She's the initial skeptic. Doesn't want to buy into the whole what's going on. And then you have John Benjamin.
She can't be a vampire. Let's just go look at the body.
Yeah. Then you have John Benjamin Hickey as the fallen alcoholic priest. Basic plot's got Ben, Louis Pullman, returning to his boyhood home, Jerusalem's Lot, Maine, which I will say Stephen King goes out of his way to make Maine look very scenic and very creepy at the same time.
Yeah.
Nobody's worked harder to make their home state look more eerie than Stephen King.
Maine has a weird reputation.
Yeah. I mean, probably because of Stephen King.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he's written, God knows how many 50, 60, 70 horror stories in Maine.
It's just like ruining New England.
Yeah. For everybody.
I feel like when Stephen King, shuffles off this mortal coil, he's going to come back as some kind of cryptid, haunting the Maine woods.
Maine specifically.
Yeah, like a Maine vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben arrives in town. His hometown. Strange Scooby-Doo stuff starts happening.
Okay, the first fucking thing he does, he goes, "What, is there somebody staying in the old mansion?"
Yeah.
And the cop who pulls him over is like, "Oh, there's someone living there now, but you best not be making any trouble in my town."
Yeah.
And
Creepy Mansion.
Creepy Mansion, it's just like you said, it is Scooby-Doo shit, you know? It's the old Creepy Mansion on the hill. Ain't nobody living there. Nobody's lived there in 40 years.
Yeah. Well, then they cut to it. It's like the freaking Norman Bates house. I kept thinking, like, Norman. You know, it's like the Psycho house. You know, always on top of the hill. So the creepy houses are always up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a creepy house at the bottom of the hill for once.
Exactly. You know.
Let everybody look down on it.
So you have a new weirdo in town who's played by Pilu Aspect, who is also Euron Greyjoy from GOT.
Yeah. Okay.
Richard Straker.
Yeah. So he starts putting out some, I have here some Fright Night Familiar vibes. You know, he's one of those kind of like, he's the lackey for the vampire.
Immediately gives you Renfield vibes.
Renfieldian.
Ooh. And so Ben has to put together first of all, Vampire starts feasting on the local Stand By Me kids, which is a weird place to start. And so Ben has to put together a ragtag, disparate group of people to, you know, mount a last line of defense.
Well, to be fair, the vampire didn't start feasting on him. The Renfield,
the weirdo,
kidnapped a kid.
Yeah.
Out and out kidnapped him super quietly, which was impressive. Good for him.
Doesn't he say something like, you know, the master wants to see you or has asked for you or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, and they have to like sacrifice or something.
Yeah, which is strange.
Yeah, they have to sacrifice to consecrate his welcoming to the town or something, and that is basically like the first blood that goes to the vampire to feed him to make him powerful enough to go out and start harvesting children for himself.
So me being the novice, I'll give you my like Reader's Digest opinion. You guys tell me what you think of it. This film's not bad, not great.
Sure.
I don't see why Warner Brothers wanted to put it in a drawer completely. I don't get that.
No.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't Batgirl bad.
No.
Well, we don't know that. We haven't seen Batgirl.
Yeah.
We can assume.
Yeah. It's just okay. The horror's predictable. It's not particularly scary to me. The script's pretty pedestrian. It doesn't do a whole lot to flesh out its characters. When it does, it feels very tropey. You know, the hero coming back to town who's got like a scarred past or whatever. It feels very tropey. I will say the director, Gary Dauberman, who did he wrote the two It movies. He directed the second one. He did the Annabelle movies. It's a good looking movie. There's a lot of good period detail. It's well filmed.
He's got good horror aesthetic.
Yeah.
He's got a good eye for horror movies.
It's a good looking movie.
Yeah.
And I will say people like, you know, William Sadler, Alfred Woodard, they're a notch above the actors you normally find in a movie like this.
Yeah.
She's a great actress.
Alfred?
Yeah, she's an Oscar level actress.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't normally get those in these kind of movies. So she adds a little bit more gravity.
And she had a little bit of like a Deep Blue Sea moment, like at the end, where you're just, you know, where she's Sam Jackson in 1 second, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, what happened?
She's gone.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna? No, the movie's still going.
Nope, we're done. So I'd give this a 5.5 out of 10.
5. Okay, that's very fair. As a horror movie or just as a movie?
Across the board.
Okay.
I'd say a horror movie. I don't know. I mean, not being an aficionado, I'd say a 6 as a horror movie. 5.5.
Sure.
Overall, pretty close to each other.
I think, and it's a Stephen King movie, so it's got a lot of Stephen King elements that, for better or for worse, just make their way into a lot of movies. It's got kid protagonists. He loves kid protagonists, right? A kid who, by the way, is absolutely fucking fearless. This kid will go on to be a Green Beret and be
badass. Yeah.
He sees shit and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, the fuck, you're not coming into my house. I have a cross. Get out of my house.
Kills a dude, comes in the church like, I need more supplies.
He's just like, I need holy water coming through. And they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
hold on, kid, what?
Yeah.
Scrambo.
Don't you know there's vampires? And he's like, of course I know there's vampires. Don't you know there's vampires?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, holy shit, this kid's a badass.
Yeah.
I love the kid.
Really badass.
But it is absolutely a Stephen King trope of having like a kid protagonist. Also, the older protagonist, what is his profession? He's an author from Maine.
Yeah.
Coming back to like his town to like write about a tragedy. Who the fuck does that remind you of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Self-friend?
And then you've got like the whole cross like mechanic. I love because not only is it just a goofy thing to just they light up for some reason, but then they go through the whole thing of like, what actually constitutes a cross. Okay, having two sticks together doesn't actually make it a cross. You have to actually like bind it together, and then you have to bless it for some reason.
Yeah.
They just sort of guessed. They're like, all right, what's the Lord's Prayer? All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
Apparently that works. It starts glowing, but if the cross breaks, then it's like, okay, it's lost its magic.
Whoopsie-doo.
Yeah.
So there's clearly some like vampire system in here that, you know, like I said, like when you create a movie, you get to like build the lore from scratch. And I think they have a lot of fun with it. I loved that. I thought that was fun. I thought it was a little bit corny, but in a way that kind of made it enjoyable.
Yeah.
I thought like you said, the aesthetic, the visuals were great. The vampires were creepy. The kids just like on the roof, just like watching them.
Yeah.
Super fucking creepy. It was like a great, almost like a zombie type vampire when there's just like hordes of vampires just coming after them. The finale scene where they are in the drive-in and there's just like all the cars and they're like, this isn't a drive-in, it's a cemetery.
Yeah.
And they realize that all the bodies are in the trunk. And then when he chops down the screen to let the sun through and they all catch on fire, badass.
Yeah.
That's badass. I think it had all great elements it was visually a great horror movie. It was well produced. It had good lore. It had good action. It had good, like, it wasn't scary, like you said, but there were like definitely elements of I was just like, whoa, you know, like creepy, like children vampires at your window, just like, let me in, Mom.
Yeah.
I want to love you. Just let me in.
Which had a Treehouse of Horror Bart Simpson vibe.
It definitely had a Treehouse of Horror Bart Simpson vibe. So I'd give this as a horror movie, I'm giving this an 8. As a movie, like a 6.5. I thought it was fun for like. This is the equivalent of a straight to DVD movie, right?
Yeah.
It's straight to streaming now. That's like our new standard. I thought this was great for what it was.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And those movies have their place. Those, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. And horror is where that place is.
I did not love this. I was looking forward to it. I am a big vampire movie aficionado. This was an okay vampire movie, but as a Salem's Lot movie, I've seen the original miniseries and the Rob Lowe miniseries, and I actually read the book.
I was going to say, have you read the book?
you're a deep fan.
This whole movie is yada yada. If they had split this into 2 films like they could have done a great job, but I don't know where they would have cut it.
I was going to say, where's the budget for that?
Or any of that, like where you would have put the cliffhanger. Like, it is perfect. You got the kid movie, you got the adult movie, calling back to the kid. Anyway, the Salem's Lot, not quite the same. That's why the miniseries is over like 3 hours long. But they cut out so much. There's Ben Mears comes back to Jerusalem's Lot because I think he also had the trauma about maybe a car crash with his parents. I don't remember. But there's a whole history of Jerusalem's Lot where everybody there is kind of a sinner in certain ways. But that house has been vacant for years because some crazy guy killed his wife and then had correspondence with the vampire in this Barlow, that kind of almost the trope where you have to invite the vampires in, or in possession, like Exorcist. I think certain demons have to be invited in or whatever. But this crazy dude essentially invited Barlow to the town, Jerusalem's Lot, and needed a place in Dungeons and Dragons. Vampires need a place that is the site of like a murder or a war or like atrocities that have happened there, since they can't take their grave dirt along with them. So somehow in the movie,
this vampire definitely brought his grave dirt.
He gets here, but then he also sacrifices the first kid as like a blood ritual to make the dirt at this place his new home or something, or desecrate. Anyway, but the main character had been into that house on like a dare or something and found somebody that had hanged themselves in there. And so he always has flashbacks about that house in particular. He came back to Jerusalem's Lot to write a story kind of about the house and horror movies. So that's why he was there. There's the whole movie is like a hurry up huddle or hurry up offense. They've like skipped every single step. You're supposed to learn about more members of the community, and I kind of miss that from Stephen King. It's like the doctor, the teacher, Matthew Burke, was the best example of like a Stephen King character where you get a little bit of it, but then he's gone way too soon. Barlow is like Nosferatu style vampire, bald, super creepy, can't pass as being human. I love the whole lightsaber cross thing. Mm-hmm. The preacher in that somehow either loses his faith or loses faith in himself, whatever. He loses his conviction, falls down, and I don't think he dies in the book because I think he comes up in like the Gunslinger Dark Tower series later. I thought their eyes are super cool, the way they did them.
Yeah, like the glowy,
glowy eyes. The best scene for me in this is when Ben runs out of the church and he's after his girlfriend, and then she's like, "You gotta run, you gotta come back to the church." He looks away, then looks back, and then all the vampires are there standing on top of, like, on the street.
You see buildings. The scale of the infestation.
And you're just like, oh, they got there fast.
Yeah.
And another thing that's nice is they don't show you the vampires just straight up flying. I mean, they do in front of the window.
They show the kid flying in front of the window.
Yeah, but you don't see the one chasing him above it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that would maybe look a little funny. But here's another one of my problems with it. Is I've seen the miniseries back in the day. If you were going to do a remake or try and adapt something, you have to do it better than what has previously come before.
Yeah.
The whole floating at the window, tapping, trying to get into that other kid's room was better and scarier in the miniseries. The dude that the teacher lets into his house that dies in the bed, and he was invited in, right? And he came in and then died, and I guess he was still, that invitation still worked, I guess.
You got to revoke it. You got to if you guys die in my house, I'm revoking your invitation.
But
just letting you know.
He in the miniseries, the dude is sitting there, like the new vampire guy is sitting in the chair in like a rocking chair, just like staring, and it's one of the creepiest scenes. They didn't do that at all. Like, the effects that they've used and everything is great, but they went way too fast. The vampire action is great. It's not a great movie. I give it a 6 as a vampire movie, maybe a 6.5, 7. Not my favorites.
How did you feel about the vampire powers they depicted? I mean, did they do a good job of like?
Yes, I will say they've the last couple vampire movies I've watched. Usually, vampires can either turn into or summon like mist or fog or whatever to hide in or become and slip under doors and stuff.
It's like Goku's flying nimbus.
I hardly ever see that power used or depicted in film, and so when I see it, I'm like, fuck yeah! I'm like Leo DiCaprio, like, oh, there it is, I see it. So I really like that, and obviously they can fly and they can jump and climb on walls and stuff. They don't. A lot of times these days they don't like to show vampires like shape changing, like turning into a tiny bat. Mm-hmm. Somehow it's not as scary or cool, or like it takes you out of the movie somehow.
Yeah.
So they just kind of go yada yada yada. They can fly. They don't really want to show you it, but
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my main review on this is watch Midnight Mass.
Had you not read the book and had you not seen the other
Midnight Mass is basically. I don't know how Midnight Mass didn't get sued by Stephen King, because it's basically Salem's Lot, and it's also a little bit Exorcist together. It's only 7 episodes. It's on Netflix. After I watched Salem's Lot, it made me rewatch Midnight Mass, which was
had you not read the book and not seen the previous iterations of this movie, would you have liked it more?
Probably. I just didn't. It felt like everything went too fast. They didn't explain it.
And Stephen King is notorious for hating the adaptations of his books, because he writes so much detail into his books that he's like, you're missing all the depth of these characters. You're missing all the depth of this stuff. And in movies, you have an hour and a half, right? Like, this is a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's an hour and a half. You got, like, what is this? Like, what's the runtime? 2 hours? 2 hours, 2 minutes?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's... you don't have time to go into it unless, like you said, you turn it into a miniseries where it's like 2-3 hour episodes. You're not going to be able to do it. But like, that's the reason that the Shining miniseries that Stephen King made wasn't as good.
Right.
You know, and like he's done other adaptations of his own stuff. Like, I'm going to do this for myself because you guys can't get it right. And it's like, no, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Stick to books, nerd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's hard to take what he does in books and turn it into movies, that you lose a lot of the magic. So if you are someone who's read the books are better, objectively better, right?
I mean, they always
just
are.
because there's so much more depth and detail.
Yeah.
So for horror movies, I think you kind of have to understand that you're going to lose some of that magic.
Yeah. So I'm 5'5". Sean, you were, what were you?
7? 7'5"? I don't know. Fuck if I know.
And Trav, you're 5'5".
I think I was around a 6, and then I gave it a vampire 7.
Okay. A vampire 7. That's a band.
I think I gave it a horror 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been another episode of CInemavino. Got Sean Jordan,
Howdy.
T-Bud, Travis Bud.
Watch Midnight Mass.
Yeah. And my name's Todd Wofford. Great movies, only drunker. We'll be back next week with some more Halloween stuff. So tune in.
That's right. Flaviar.
Flaviar.com.
Flaviar.
Find yourself some good whiskeys. And we will see.
Or some bad whiskeys. You got to try some stuff. See what you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Find your range.
Get run through.
Find your palate.
Get run through.
And we will see you guys next time.
Love you. Bye.